Lads and laddies, welcome back to Recorder on the Wall. We're looking at Rakkety Tam Book 2.
Has anybody seen my bagpipes?
And I be your Papa Abbott Pete.
And I'm not even going to attempt a Scottish accent because I'm too tired, Jeremy.
And I'm Matthias 720, and I'm not quite sure what this accent is.
Sure, and I'm Katie, and I've decided to go Irish instead. I don't know how well it's working.
Happy St. Patty's Day!
You gotta sound like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh my god.
Hello!
Given the UK and Ireland are like our next most popular country for listeners, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so sorry.
We're just having fun.
I'll pretend to
We
be
respect
sorry.
your culture and your accents, but we do enjoy making jokes.
Please, listeners, send us a voice clip of you imitating an American accent, because that would amuse me greatly.
Do it.
Yes. You know, I know the whole British thing is to, like, self-mock and whatnot. So, you know, hey, give us what we give you.
Yeah.
It's all fair. It's all fun.
And we make fun of our own accents half the time anyway.
I'm an American, drinking my coffee.
America.
Red Walnica.
That being said, we're looked at the second part of Rakkety Tam.
Yes.
And who, as he tries to defend Mossflower from, Wolverine. I'm sorry,
Cannibals.
Gulo.
Cannibals.
And Jeremy, did you just get the bub in? Okay.
Bub.
So yes, and if you didn't listen to our last episode, what are you doing here? But
listening to the episodes out of order.
Probably.
Wait.
Shuffle.
If this is your first time listening to an episode of Recorder on the Wall, welcome. Please go back and listen to the first episode so that this entire storyline makes sense, and you'll understand our jokes a little bit better.
Episodes 1
And by
through 3 are
storyline,
kind
he
of
means
rough.
the storyline of the podcast, so you should probably just go back to listen to the first episode so you understand our continuity, or lack thereof.
I guess we'll start with Matt Mayo, but...
Furman HR is very important.
That started in Matameo, I believe.
Lord Brocktree, actually.
Oh, did it? Okay.
When he threw his messengers out the wall. Out the
he
window.
definitely did.
Oh, right. And then in Mossflower, we found out who is actually the head of Vermin HR.
Yes, and then Bella drives a motorcycle for some reason.
Yes. We've had a lot of weird jokes.
I forgot about that one.
That was one of my favorites, like, ever.
Just so randomly, motorcycle drove in and the noise. I'm like, okay.
But today we're talking about Rakkety Tam Book 2, which is titled The Warrior Who Gained a Sword.
Yes.
Which is ironic given what he's about to do with his claymore, but yes.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I have questions about that when we come to it. It's like, what? I don't understand you.
I can talk a little bit about that when we get there.
Oh, good.
I find the symbolism interesting, and I have 2 different explanations for it.
Sweet.
Noted when we get there. So our book 2 begins proper with another Rakkety Tam song.
Yep.
Before even the chapter even starts.
Yep.
In full Scottish accents.
Indeed.
Okay
Off
then.
to do, I cannot dash about like yon wee hare.
That was great.
So yes, if you didn't listen, the plot recap is there's a Wolverine loose in Mossflower. He's looking for a thing his brother stole. The Long Patrol is proactively reacting to him because he kind of murdered some of them and ate some. And 2 squirrel mercenaries are out to retrieve a flag because why? Why do they even care? Oh, right,
Because honor.
Yes.
Honor!
And there's just
This
a
is
touch
Worf's
of a
favorite
romance.
I was going to say Zuko's favorite book, but that works too. I know.
Why
Avatar.
not both?
Don't know who that is.
I'm going to make you watch Avatar The Last Airbender. And no, not the M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Did Jet just die? You know, it's really unclear.
Yes. Save that because I'm sure it will be useful in somewhere in the podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
So yes, Tam himself is, last time we saw him, he was in a tree and he runs into a giant bird. Because
Bird!
birds always make it. Friendly birds always make it out in these stories, right, Scarlaugh? Oh.
Right,
Aw.
Queen Warbeak.
Oh.
Yeah,
Hey,
Brian always.
Strike Red Kite made it alive, so.
This
He
is
did.
true. So did Rockangus.
Yep.
Brian sure
Speaking
did
of
love his
northern
birds of
accents.
prey.
Yeah.
Yes, Tam runs into a bird, and they kind of fall right into a lilac bush. Oh, poor lilac bush.
I love lilac.
I think it was more
Save
the
the
bird
lilac.
ran into him.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, Tam then displays how awesome he is because he fights off the bird. Then a fox and an ermine show up, and he whoops a fox in like 2 moves. Then turns around and saves the bird, and then they become friends.
Oh, and
Yes.
yeah, too.
And I mean, Turgan feels like a character from out of one of the earlier Redwall novels. I mean, it's been a while since we had a bird companion character of any sort that wasn't just, hey, this is an owl. It lives at the Abbey now.
Right.
And yeah, Turgan himself, I initially marked him neutral, but I need to move him to hero. Yeah, he just likes to kill vermin because
Yep.
it's a Tuesday.
Well, he has a broken wing, so that
Yeah.
could be something to do with it.
I do like how when Tam says like I'm traveling with hares, you know them, and Turgan goes, "Yes, they say what?"
Yes.
I mean, he's not wrong.
No.
Hares do in fact say what quite a bit. What?
Yep.
That'll come up again later in a funny way.
Oh, I love that.
We
So
we
good.
get Tam we get Tam's BFF Doogie, who, and if the first book didn't already confirm this one definitely does. Highlander, he's immortal.
There can be only one.
Well, 2 in this case, but
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll settle it later.
This is also stark contrast to something that happens a little bit later in this section of the book, where here Doogie, like Tam's been gone for like what 10 minutes, and
Yeah.
Doogie's like, "Where is he? What's going on? Where could he be?" and everything. And literally, the last we saw of the trio of Tam, Doogie, and Ferdinand, Tam had just run off like a few minutes ago. Just, it's okay, man. He'll be back. His name is in the title of the book. He'll be okay.
I thought
Wait,
this
does
was
that mean
nice,
I can
though.
die? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Actually, wait, no, never mind. Your name in the book title doesn't mean you can't die because Legend of Luke.
That's true. That is true.
Well, I mean, it's a posthumous story. It happened many, many lifetimes beforehand, so of course.
This is true. I'm trying now to
So
think
yes,
of
Doogie's
the
like,
other one.
I need my best friend, man.
Yep.
I just can't live with him. Out him.
This actually speaks, though, to somebody who relies completely on one person and doesn't trust anyone else. Like, they do have abandonment issues sometimes.
Apparently.
And Doogie does mention way later on that the only person he truly trusts is Tam.
Hmm.
And I mean, we see that with certain pets, you know, not just dogs and cats, but also pet birds and whatnot, that it's like they can get real attached to just one person. Everybody else, no, I hate you, grr, go away. And it's just like, love me, my person.
Yes.
I'm getting flashbacks to the Futurama episode now.
No.
To that one. No. So
Never bring that up ever again.
you know what's even sadder? That's apparently based on a true story.
Yeah.
Like,
Several
of a-
true stories.
Yeah. So, all right, back onto more funny things. So it takes them a little bit, and suddenly the Long Patrol kind of realize, oh shoot, the villains are heading towards Redwall. I honestly think, however many books in we are, I feel like we've reached the point where the heroes need to be genre savvy enough to assume that Redwall is always going to be in danger from the big bad. Like, there have been a couple of exceptions here and there, ignoring pre-Redwall being built. Like, obviously, Salamandastron, Redwall was not the target. Pearls of Lutra to a degree, because Ublaz mainly just wanted the pearls and didn't even know that Redwall existed. But let's be fair, Redwall is almost always the target. If there's villains about, assume they're going to Redwall.
Yep.
Yes. Well, you know, it takes them. They're a little slow about this.
Well, I mean, it would help if they put out, like, counter rumors that, in fact, there are no magic swords at Redwall.
Otherwise, we'll get pimply face crack, voice cracking ones like Bad Red.
Oh, God. I want your magic sword now.
But
No.
we still have the Wolverine. So yes, they're like, oh, he's going to Redwall. Tam and Doogie and who did they say? Those ones they
I think it
sent.
was Ferdinand.
Ferdinand, yep.
Yeah. I know you guys aren't trained runners and all, but you can get there quick, right?
And Doogie, we know you can't run for very long distances without getting horribly winded, but you go.
I'll be all right. And the Long Patrol, hey, what's the best way to avoid the main path to Redwall and beat the vermin to it? That way.
I like the moment here though where they give Kersey and Dauncey another chance and says like,
Yeah.
all right, you learned your lesson. Now can you go, make sure you run off and try to find us the best pathway and track down these guys again. And they're like, all right. And we get a line that I know we've seen in this series before, but I can't remember what the heck it means. So they say like when the hairs are all marching off, one of them says like if you screw up, you'll be on a fizzer.
I actually can share something about that.
Okay.
I wanted to look that up myself, and I'm going to drop this in chat here. I found a website that discussed that, and it seems one of the possible explanations was back when things like cannons and needing lots of gunpowder to be taken care of, you would have been quote unquote placed on a fizzer if you were in charge of like putting the powder in cannons and stuff, in charge of lighting off the various explosives, which I don't imagine was very pleasant.
I was gonna say, oh, what does that mean in Redwall terms?
I think it's just Brian taking British military slang and importing it because, he's British.
Project
He
for
is?
listeners. Indeed. Project for listeners. I seem to be assigning lots of projects for listeners in this podcast, in this episode, but send us your ideas of what being on a fizzer would be like in the Redwall universe.
There we go.
I figure it's just rolling out Ambrose Spike back to his bed.
On a strawberry fizzer.
Oh, no.
Man,
So-
I do
But-
like the little ditty that the hairs march to.
I'm surprised that the twins, Kirsty and Dauncey, got off probation so easily. It's been what, a couple hours, maybe half a day at most.
Yeah.
And it's
Well,
like-
it's kind of an emergency, and they're the two runners that they do have. So
I suppose, but at the same time, there's the part of me that's like, for as terrible of being named the awkward squad is, why don't get Folderon, Flumity, and Flunkworthy and send them out instead?
Yeah.
At least they're out of the path of danger and less likely to be, well, awkward.
So, chapter 18 begins with, and you remember those two maids who were totally given the duty of going to find the sword bearer?
I mean, the
this-
unluckiest duo ever.
They were literally outside the ditch in Redwall, and Redwall didn't even notice.
Yep. And store brand Gonf finds them. I'm sorry, Euphis.
Yes. Irish gone.
Stupid name.
Yeah, Euphis. He's a doofus.
You've
He
And-
acts like a goofus.
And if you can't remember him, he's the water vole who's been stealing things from primarily the vermin.
Yep.
And yeah, as Jeremy said, it's store brand Gomph.
Yep.
None of the musical comedy. But
No,
still,
and also halfway through this chapter I took that back because Euphis sees, Brookie and Armel in trouble and is like, well, sucks to be them. Gonf would have been like, all right, here's my plan to free them.
Mm-hmm.
Gonf
Yeah.
would have immediately went to try to help them out.
Mom, can we have Gonf? No, we have Gonf at home. Gonf at home.
Oh,
We're buying Euphis. That's good enough, it's the Kroger brand.
No,
That's
no,
not
Jeremy.
the real Gonf.
Jeremy, it's the Amway brand.
The Amway brand. It's the dollar store brand. Or it's like fruit nuggets or something, and it's supposed to be like Fruity Pebbles.
Oh,
Oh,
Multicolored fruit nuggets. There we go.
Fruit rocks.
Fruit rocks.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yeah, the two are captured. Oh, look, Martin's sword. The one thing you were supposed to keep safe is now in the hands of vermin. So,
I totally forgot they had it with them, and so I just wrote, I forgot they had the sword. Had being the key word.
Yeah. Well,
you
Now
had
it's taken.
one job.
Literally one job.
they didn't do any better than Martin did, and he's supposed to be like this great warrior. So
This is true. You know what? To be fair, it took like how many of Sarmina's forces to actually hold down Martin and drag him into Kotir?
And he was
Oh
a
no,
grown
wait.
adult.
Yeah, you're right. This Batarang.
He was a grown adult. Remember that.
Well,
And-
now I just thought of Martin the Warrior, where he was like a 5-year-old, and Batarang smacked him and took it and went, "This is mine now."
Well, okay, I was more referring to Sarmina, but noted. So yes. And they're like, hey, we're going to give this to Gulo? No, it's mine.
This is mine now. Yeah, Shard, right?
Yep. I'm sure that won't go badly for Shard.
Oh, I'm
Of
sure
course not.
Shard will have a fun time during this entire section of the book.
he will be around for years to come.
Well, if he's the only real competent vermin leader, Gulo's right hand, I'm sure he's going to have a long and healthy life.
Him and his mate, who definitely doesn't die at the end of the book.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, that would be a spoiler, and I'd have to go spoilers.
But you didn't.
No, but I didn't, which is great.
So,
I
yes.
do like the comment like this. We sometimes get like goofy words in these, and I like them calling them canniballs instead of cannibals.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're going to get to that because there's a scene coming up that is... Are we sure this is not worse than Doomlight?
I thought that actually a couple of times.
So hold that thought because I do want to approach that.
Mhm.
So yes, you was just like, well, not my problem. Sorry, Redwood people. Oh, hi, squirrels and hare. Wait, how did you get here this fast? No, really.
How did you get hair this fast?
Uh,
You know what, Pete? I had the exact same thought. I was like, man, that was quick.
I mean, it's not like Martin had to go and Goff and Denny and later Log had to spend the better part of a season figuring out riddles to travel from what would become Redwall, Kotir to Salamandastron. But no, we're within a couple leagues or outside the mountain, and we're just going to run this far, this quick
yep.
to Redwall.
Yeah. Within a chapter too. Like it is kind of rushed of them arriving, but I'm also kind of okay with it because I'm enjoying the way the story goes, and I'm kind of happy it didn't take them until book 3 to arrive. So it's better than like Triss, where Triss didn't actually get to use Martin's sword until like the third to last chapter of the book.
Yes.
Good point. Or I'm kind of glad because this book is clearly a soft reboot. There's more. There's even more evidence here. I'm glad that let's steal something of the Abbey's to decrease its morale. Ooh, nice sword. I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed. The sword just happened to get stolen because 2 completely inexperienced characters left Redwall without any escort, even though it was offered.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't say I really like that you see in this book that Armel isn't inexperienced in totally everything. Like she's a really good healer. It seems like she's one of the best infirmary people we've had so far.
I mean, warm nettle soup. Hello.
Right.
Yeah, I meant
but-
I meant inexperienced as an adventurer, and definitely not someone that'd be able to stand up to a bunch of armed vermin.
Right, but I do like though that she is a good she's a really good infirmary person, and that's so she's not so totally cast as this helpless character who can do nothing for herself.
Oh yeah, no, she's very good at the job that she does have, and we see her be a very good infirmary keeper as the story continues too, and doesn't try to force feed people stuff that sounds nasty.
So yeah, our trio catch up with Euphis, and they're like, "So, who are you? What information can you give us on the bad guys?" Oh no, they're just
Euphis?
over. Yeah, Euphis.
Yeah, he meets his match, a group of creatures who actually have brains in their heads.
Right. And I mean, like Jeremy was saying, or I think it was Jeremy who was saying this, or maybe it was Pete, I don't remember, sorry. But Gonf would definitely try to help when he sees, two maidens or anybody being captured, like two good guys being captured. So I think that Euphis is a bit more gray, and sort of out for himself, sort of a Slytherin type character for thinking about Harry Potter things, which I usually am. So,
I would just say it's because he's a vole, because voles almost always seem to be in it for themselves.
Yep.
I mean, yeah.
I know we've had good ones here and there. Burble was nice, but still, there's been some voles and Cynthia Vole eventually became a lot better, but
Rollo's adorable.
Yes.
Rollo was awesome, yes, but Droop was definitely not a very good. It was definitely you're dirtbag. Euphis is at least better than Droop.
Right, I was gonna say I don't think Euphis is a bad character. I just think he's much more gray than we're used to seeing in sort of the hero cast.
Yeah. I do like, though, is he says to Tam, like, oh, if you give me your sword and all this stuff, like, then I'll tell you what to do. And Tam's like, okay, here's my claymore. And Doogie, like, flips out, but then Tam's like, okay, Euphis, you, Ferdinand, and Turgon go to the Abbey and warn them. And after they leave, Tam looks at Doogie and he's like, yeah, he's not going anywhere with those two next to him.
Yeah, and much less, a claymore is a exceedingly heavy two-handed sword. I don't think that Vol can carry it.
Right.
He's gonna have a hard time running away with that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where my questions were kind of coming in. Like, so if Tam already knew where to go and how to do things, and he didn't really need Euphis' help, why did he give him his claymore? Help me.
It might have, you know what? It might have been to actually keep it safe, because Tam does comment to Doogie, hey, leave your claymore behind when we go to rescue them, because it'll just slow you down.
Okay.
So he might have been like, all right, the others will look after it for me. I don't feel like leaving it on the floor.
Didn't Euphis basically demand the sword to trade for the information?
Yes,
but Tam sort of figures it out himself.
Seems like he didn't really need the information, which is why I'm confused.
Well, I mean, it's better than giving him a claymore mine. Here you go, Euphis.
There we go.
I will say this.
Be careful, there are claymore mines in that area.
Oh, no. I'll say this. When Euphis is just kind of, minding his own business, and then our group of heroes comes across him, and he's basically like, oh, don't mind me, just go around. I'm not going to get in your way. It's like, where did you get that flag from? It's like putting two and two together. Oh, don't mind me. Blah, blah, blah. Talks their ear off until he jumps up in a tree, threatens to carve up the flag. Put a paw near me, any of you, and I'll rip this flag to bits and carve cobs of any beast who tries to get up here. I'm a desperate character when me first stroked up the wrong way, so keep your distance. It's just like, why does that feel like something out of an old Western? Claymores at high noon.
But that's a good question, honestly.
Yeah.
and I can't help but think Tam and Doogie just kind of looking at each other like, well, if we bring back the scraps, I mean, that still counts, right?
We never said what condition we'd return it in.
Right.
I do like, now that the next chapter, I love that this book has a lot of really good, like, kind of sentence descriptions and one-liners and things. And I think one of my new favorite ones is when talking about Gulo, the Wolverine's eyes glittered like twin stars of evil omen in his brutish head as he sat upon the drum in the gathering twilight.
I'm quite evil.
I mentioned I'm evil.
Oh, should we assume he's like full-on Dr. Evil? Like that kind of campy?
I need my walking stone.
Yes, we're going to go with that. Our next chapter literally begins. The art is Gulo, who is...
How anthropomorphic are they?
How anthropomorphic are they? Ghoul is still in his tunic, and he is literally sitting on the drum that our Badger Lady made for Redwall.
Yep. He actually does look like he needs like a small animal, like a small cat in his lap just to start petting it like an evil mastermind.
No, he just eat it. That's a bad
Oh,
idea.
Asgore.
Great Gulo, we have brought you this pet to comfort you in your time of need.
Food!
Quite good. And yes, we're first told that, oh yeah, he's still got 2 river rats. Hey guys.
Not much longer.
Girl. Shard's like, so, Mighty One, I've taken prisoners from Redwall. Shall we question them? Even Ghoul's just like thinking, he's like thinking to himself, like, I would have just killed them first, but that's not a bad idea.
Shard's giving me the benefit of the doubt. Shard's like, I did exactly what you would have. I have captured them, so we can question them. And he's thinking, yes, that's exactly what I would have done. Of course. I certainly wouldn't have eaten them immediately.
I mean, Gulo and his crew aren't the brightest candles in the lantern by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Oh.
Oh, and Ghoul's just like, oh, he sees the 2 mates from Redwall. It's like, stop. So you're gonna tell me what I want to know, right?
And then they
told nothing.
They tell him nothing. And
Okay.
then Gulo smiles, and that sounds like it should be illegal.
Ghoul's just like, oh, no, cool. You guys don't want to talk tonight. That's totally fine. I'm gonna give you the night to think about it. Meanwhile, you see those 2 river rats? Hey guys, what was that line from Lord of the Rings you like so much? Meat's back on the menu? Okay.
I was thinking of more of om nom nom nom. And
And
we get on-page devouring. Ew.
yeah, and this is where I wanted to mention, like, again, I haven't read Doom White. These guys had built it up as this, like, body horror and all this other stuff that is coming, and I'm sure it's gonna be grand fun for me to read for the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking, like, this can't be worse than Doom White, right? Or
It's along the lines of some of the stuff that happens in Doom White. Like
We'll
there's
get
similar.
there.
Yeah.
Huh?
We'll get there.
Yeah, there's things happen in that book.
I mean, there's something pretty horrifying at the very beginning of Hyrule Lane, which we're going to get to soon.
Oh,
so.
yes. Yes, I remember that.
No, it is.
Take that part out.
But yeah, so he's just like to intimidate the Redwallers. He's like, hey, you see these rats? Hey guys, dinner.
Now you see it. You want to see a magic trick? See these rats? Now you don't.
And then Gulo turns back. Where's my polite clapping?
He just turns around and grins, and they're like, you have a little river rat in your teeth.
Oh, thank you. Well, so I'm gonna give you the morning to think about it, and we'll just see how we get along come the morning. Have fun sleeping.
Yep. I'll have a great you for breakfast. I mean breakfast with you.
Yes. And a restrained Gulo is honestly scarier than a wild and wrathful Gulo because it's just like you can tell his power and wrath are barely contained. And it's just like he's on the edge of snapping at any moment now, and that tension is frightening.
I know I'm playing this up for comedy, but I imagine the audiobook portrays him very differently.
Oh yeah.
Yep, and they're just like, "Yep, we're gonna die. At least I'm not alone when I'm gonna die."
Or as Futurama would put it, "Are we boned? Yeah, we're boned.
We're doomed. Doomed. And then
I mean, at least you can give this to Brookie. She's not laughing inappropriately at this, so.
At this part, she's not. She does plenty of that later on.
Right, but at least she's not like, you're a cannibal. That's hilarious. Isn't it hilarious, Armel?
This is true.
God, we're gonna die.
Yeah, my laugh's gonna cost me an arm and a leg.
Hey, Armel,
Great.
what's eating you? Gulo.
So yeah, of course, Tam and Doogie are rolled natural 20s on their stealth checks, and I do want to point out Brian writes they're carrying particular small daggers, and I'm going to slaughter this. So I apologize in advance to our Scottish listeners. See can do.
Skin do. Skin
Ah.
do. Yep.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Skin do.
Sounds like a medical condition. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. You've got skin dew.
But this was actually a real weapon that exists, meant to be a small, I believe, like a skinning knife for hunting and whatnot.
Farago would like to know your location.
Well, they also refer to it as a dirk, which we've seen before in the series, which Tam used. Or not Tam, Tamo used.
Tamo.
Yep.
Yeah, but he has a dirk and a skin do, so he has both.
Three blades.
I thought they were the same. I thought they were the same thing.
Farago likes this.
No, skin do is probably going to have a blade, I think, about the size of your hand, whereas a dirk is going to have a blade about the length of your forearm. It's halfway between like a dagger and a sword.
Oh my goodness, I'd never seen that written out before. I just listened to the audiobook for this one. I'd never seen that written out until you sent that link. I was like, oh, that's how you spell it. Okay.
Yeah, it's weird. It's based on Gaelic, clearly. So, and on all bastions of complete knowledge that is always right, Wikipedia shows basically this is a knife you tuck in your sock. So, I guess for easy access.
Sock it to me.
Oh, why? So.
I mean, there's something clearly afoot with this blade.
And if you never use it, it's called a skin don't.
So Tam and Doogie basically climb down the tree, blades in the teeth, and then they're like, "Hi guys, so we're here to rescue you. Be very quiet and do exactly what we say. And when you get free, take off your cloaks. We'll explain in a moment."
Because
we do get a moment though where we get like the classic where like the rescuer whispers to them and they go, "Was that you?" And then they look up and realize it's like the rescuers and stuff. But it's like, Brookie, I'd like to think that Armel and Tam have very different voices.
Yeah.
They do. In the audiobook, it's kind of weird.
Well, I mean, sometimes whispering can be a little bit harder to distinguish.
Yeah.
Not that hard, but if you're not expecting anyone else.
I'd like to think veteran Highlander sounds very different from Abby Nurse,
Right.
Or that, or she has the worst bedside manner ever.
She sounds like Matthias' sister.
Oh, no.
No.
Now settle down, Dibbins, while I give you this medical exam.
So basically, yes, the two maids are freed and they give the warriors their cloaks. And hey, what are you doing? Those? Oh no, the guards have them now. Don't worry about it. You killed them, didn't you?
Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a guard right there. Don't worry, he won't be seeing anything anytime soon.
I mean, one of our two is actually shocked. Like, you killed him and the guards? And Doogie's just like, he literally has that. If you've ever seen Young Frankenstein, that reaction when the monster gets his cup smashed and he looks to heaven for patience. It's the same reaction. Just like, really? Really? Doogie's like, they're vermin and they had you tied to a tree? Yeah.
Yeah, they were going to eat you. What part of "we just saved your life" don't you get?
Yeah. And then they decide to stand around for a few minutes, and Armel gives like exposition to Tam of like, here's everything that's happened. By the way, I was told by the ghost of a long dead warrior that you were coming and that I should bring his sword to you and that you'd be able to use it.
And then Tam's just thinking, hey, she's kind of hot.
Yeah. Oh, Dreamweaver.
Tam's thinking, it's like, okay, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, but she's cute, so I'm gonna go along with it.
And there's Doogie like next to him, like slowly turning his head the more she talks, and it's like, Dude, no, don't.
She
Just don't.
cray.
And
yes.
anyway, I mentioned it earlier, but talking about Tam not stealing. Why did I say steal? Selling his sword and losing his sword, and it's like we see the quote-unquote prophecy fulfilled here. The warrior who sold and lost his sword. You can interpret that in two different ways. First, Tam swore his sword to the service of Errolton and Idga, selling it into their service. And second, he sold it to Euphis in exchange for the banner at a future date.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good. Yes, they get out, and unfortunately, it's not without incident, but because basically the Redwall Abbey, the Abbey Madians are like, hey, thanks for rescuing us, but if we don't get Martin's sword back, yeah,
We're gonna be in big trouble. And Tam's like, don't worry, I'll get it back, and like sneaks up to Shard, accidentally wakes up Shard, and it's like, that's all right, I'll just bash him over the head with my dagger. That does
Yes.
not work. It's literally, it's like Shard had a thicker skull. And what I missed until like the next chapter or whenever they go back to him is Shard falls into a fire.
Yep. Ow.
I'm okay. I'm not okay.
I'm literally on fire.
You guys, help! Why are you opening your barbecue sauce?
Dark. Oh.
Don't eat me. I'm your captain.
But
and
I want to point out something here. This
Mhm.
moment feels a bit too contrived for me. I can justify a lot when it comes to storytelling. I've done that many times here on the podcast before. It's stated explicitly that Tam avoids killing a sleeping enemy. Doesn't matter that, it's like, this is the bad guy, he's going to eat somebody again if you don't kill him. He's just like, I can't kill somebody who's asleep, and so I'm going to use the, hilt of my dagger to knock him over the head. The entire progression of the story moving forward depends on him messing up, somebody accidentally waking up in response to Shard going, ah, my head, and them all getting chased. That can't happen if Shard doesn't accidentally wake up and raise the alarm. And this is about as sloppy as Brian ever gets with his writing and storytelling, and it's very noticeable here. He normally he wrote so cleanly that this feels a bit too forced to me. Perhaps an errant campfire spark waking up a sleeping fox would be more interesting and be like, they're escaping.
Yeah.
Or even just like the tension of, say, Gulo himself wakes up in the middle of the night and walks over the camp, kind of shows a genuine glance their way, and then goes right back to bed. Like, that could be a beautiful like nail biting scene right there.
Mm-hmm.
Gula wakes up for a midnight snack, asks if there's any of the river rats left.
But yeah, I don't disagree with you. It much less for a trained warrior as well as him. Like, no, he would know. Like, if you take the chance he's left alive, it's not tactically smart, because yes, this exact scenario could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Though we have seen with Tam that sometimes his predication towards honor is against what would probably be the smart thing to do, which is him wanting to get the flag back, the banner back for King and Queen Dipwad. Him saying I gave you my word, so I will live up to that word, even though I could just leave or stab you and run away now.
So do you guys think if Doogie was here instead, do you think he would have killed Shard while he was asleep?
Shard and every guard around him would be dead at this point, and Doogie would come back and be like, all right, that's the end of that chapter.
Yeah.
Literally anybody else who was marching towards Redwall would have done it.
Yeah.
Ferdinand, definitely the Brigadier.
Mhm.
One will, Captain Fordington, even Turgan. Turgan would have gone full like Spartan berserker, just like I'm gonna kill all vermin.
Honestly, the only standard heroes we've seen in series that would want to fight them while they could fight back themselves would probably be Matthias and Martin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Jangler, because remember back in Marl Fox where they trapped one of the Marl Foxes, said, no, I'm going to give him a fair fight. If you can get past me, then you can leave.
Mhm.
So
Like, I think he would have at least been like, I can't kill someone who's sleeping. When they're awake, oh, I'll kick their butt.
So yes, the whole camp wakes up because Shard is now cooking.
What's that smell?
Yeah, Gulo's like, something smells good. Why is my captain on fire?
And yes, the vermin chase after them, and we get. I know it's not meant to be a funny scene, but when I read this, I could not help but burst out laughing because we had Tam. He risks a backward glance at the explorers. The vermin were gaining on, but Gulo, who was not built for sustaining a fast run, was shambling at the rear. And my mind immediately went, "Just a minute, guys! Oh man, I'm out of shape."
I was thinking more of Tam being a master of combining cartoon traps with actual combat, where he does the old pull back the tree branch to whip 3 people in the face, but when he knocks them down, he grabs one of their spears and perfectly throws it into the chest of another fox.
Yes.
Yeah.
I liked the branch hopping too. Like he was teaching Armel how to branch hop, and she's like, I don't know if I can do this, and he's like, yeah, you can. And it was kind of a cute little what would you call it, a meet cute part of their meet
It's
cute.
a good time to learn.
Yep.
Yep. Armel is taking to the trees like a squirrel to trees.
Yes. And for me, I took this as the chase sequence being from a video game with quick time events everywhere as you dodge from tree to tree, with poor timing allowing the vermin to catch up, sending you back to the last checkpoint.
Also, for video games, I came up with a Metal Gear Solid reference, which is, Tam, you've alerted the guards. Now they'll be in alert mode. Quick escape or get to cover so they go into caution mode.
Yes.
And then with Gulo lagging behind, just the Benny Hill theme.
I mean, in my mind, it's still everyone Gula's just like, wait a minute, guys, and the vermin stop and turn to look at him, and he's trying to catch his breath. Oh God!
Long run, woo! And he
Never
falls
skip
over,
leg
one
day.
of the foxes like, geez, man, it's been like 20 feet. You are really out of shape. Shut up.
Never skip leg day.
Yep. It's like, Gulo, maybe you should supplement your diet with some, healthier options. I think just eating other creatures is not doing well for you. You got good protein going and you got good, upper body muscle, but you got to work on your cardio. And it's just lying there like, shut up!
Because as this is not the first time Gulo is going to be at the back of his horde trying to keep up with them.
Yep. And so the Red Wallers were told by Ferdinand and Turgan, keep a lookout. And Skipper quickly takes charge when seeing the attack coming. And all the Red Wallers, as always, have no actual weapons. And they just come out with window poles and frying pans and other random stuff.
Yep.
And then off in the distance, as the Brigadier can sight Redwall, it's like, oh no, bells, everyone, charge!
Yep.
So here are the hares here where the fair fear to flee foes, charging with flair to where those who scare are and dare to care for being there.
Wow.
My
I had a little
brain
bit
is
of
now
fun.
tongue-tied. So the Long Patrol charge and go to get Gulo's army's attention, and unfortunately, some of them are out front, and they see the 2 runners, Kersey and Dauncey, and and Crumshaw saves Kersey by tackling her and takes an arrow to the shoulder. Poor Dauncey takes like 2 arrows to the chest.
Yeah, it was actually a little bit different because Gula was like, you guys fire arrows really quick and then get out of the way. And so the officers were actually telling the hares, slow down, because you're going to get hit. And Kersey and Dancy actually sped up. So they directly disobeyed orders, which sucks because this happened.
Yeah.
It's like, you were on probation for a reason. Did you learn nothing?
Well,
Yeah.
I think the way it was described, I think part of it was they didn't completely hear the order and were just so engrossed in the upcoming battle that they lost control. I think that was part of it. I don't think they were purposely disobeying orders.
Yeah, I think they were just so like focused on glory, honor, and glory. Ugh.
They pulled a Krega.
Yeah.
Careless young fools.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel bad for him.
Yeah,
I know,
I feel
this
bad
is-
for Dancy.
This was so sad. I feel bad for Kersey. She's just like not
Yeah.
even crying, just like in total shock, which I totally get because that's, last time I had a friend die, that's what it took me like 2 weeks until I cried. So I was like, I don't understand. My world just totally changed and I don't know what's happening.
So, I mean, yeah, the Rebel War's going to back in, and thankfully, not too many people have taken wounds aside from aforementioned Nazi, and the Brigadier apparently took one.
Yep.
Pete, I'm glad to just because of your chat comment, that's exactly what I was referencing.
I know, that's what you were referencing.
I knew it.
So we get Tam and Doogie to the rescue, like scaling down the Abbey walls, which is supposed to be like super hard to do. Tam's got Martin's sword clenched between his teeth, and it's like, Tam and Doogie, getting out there. Wait, no, just Tam. Doogie doesn't get any.
Yeah, Tam kills 5 of them by himself off screen.
Yeah. And Doogie's like, hey, next time you're passing out swords.
Yeah.
I
Give me
want a
one of
magic
those.
sword.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not magic.
yep. Do
Just
you
the guiding
believe
spirit
in
who-
magic?
Just a guiding spirit who appoints its user as magic.
Yes. So we then get in chapter 20, this section, this first part of it reminds me of the Long Patrol, like in a very good way, which is like showing us the horrors of war with Dancy's death and poor Kersey like having to deal with it. And we get a great moment with Crumshaw like refusing treatment until his hairs are taken care of.
Yep.
And I like that. And we get a really good line. I didn't write down who said it, but which is, the Long Patrol is a hard and dangerous life for any beast.
It's the Brigadier who says it.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense that he said
And-
it. Like,
I'm
And
glad-
he must be on some really good drugs because when they take the arrow out of him, he's completely stoic about it.
Yeah, he's
mhm.
just bantering with Armel, like, hey, the doctor we have is Salamandra. Isn't that great? You want to come be the doctor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we found out their doctor is named Hackworthy. I would not want a doctor named Hackworthy.
I'm wondering if it's a joke that he made, like, haha, I'm going to tell a joke, or if this is actually a real doctor. Because otherwise, hey, Lady Melisme, you might want to look into that.
Well, don't we have Flunkworthy as part of this group? Like,
Yes.
I'm guessing a relation.
Family?
Yeah, horrible Hackworthy helps hospitalized hares horrendous hurts, however hideous, heal hellaciously. Hilarious. Okay, I'll
So
stop.
you're telling me he's the Team Fortress 2 medic?
Might as well be. Is this gonna work? No idea.
I have no idea.
Why don't we try the blue stuff? That looks sciencey and medically. So
And
we then-
the Brigadier is like, good to hear, McMurrow. You killed 6 of them. And it's like, it was only 5, sir. The rumors about Tam's exploits are getting bigger and bigger by the minute.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
soon
and-
it'll be him just like jumping off the wall, doing the superhero landing with one fist down on the ground, the other with the sword behind his back. kind of looking up at the vermin. It's not your day. And then just lightning shoots down from the sky, just fries
goes-
everybody.
Bring me Gulo!
And then someone looks at the camera, Deadpool style, and says, "That's really hard on the knees."
Yeah. It's like those foxes were 7 feet tall. I thought you said they were 6 feet. No, 7 feet, and there was 20 of them. You said there were 6. 20.
So the next chapter has the Long Patrol bearing what's his name?
Donsey.
On grounds, and then we get the Long Patrol has a funeral dirge of all things.
Mhm.
So
And we get a good moment with Onewell where he gives like the eulogy, and he's all like he does a really good job. He's using both Donsey's death as an example for the troops of like what not to do, but also making sure not to dishonor his memory, and says like, because he has fallen, we will now fight even harder for him.
I think that was Crumshaw, wasn't it?
Was it Crumshaw or Onewell?
I think it was. Maybe it was both, but I definitely remember Crumshaw saying something.
Let me see. Let's see. Oh, okay, it was. I missed because it said, "Oh, Onewell put his the Galloper's person belt," and then yes, you're right. That is Crumshaw giving the speech.
Yeah, still a good speech though.
Yep.
I
And
also
then-
have to. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no problem. Then we see the preparations for a celebration feast with Friar Glissom and all his crew, and it's like looking and reading at these various ingredients being listed out for the various food dishes. It's like I think I can hear Jeremy's stomach rumbling from the other side of the country.
I did make a comment in chapter 21, which was, I should have eaten a bigger breakfast. All the food descriptions are making me hungry.
Yeah.
We also get a kind of an odd moment from Armo. She's like, "Oh, must have taken some deep thinking to learn about all these herbs and dresses. You know, basically, since you're a warrior." And let me correct that. Basically, at one point, where is it? Where someone calls Tam a deep thinker, and I just thinking like, what? Just because I'm a Scottish warrior who lives by the sword doesn't mean I'm not intelligent?
Just because I've been hit in the head almost as many times as Martin?
Yeah.
You don't think I can think good?
But I really like what what Tam's point was. He was just like, some people are meant to be warriors, other people are meant to be not warriors. And he's reflecting on life and people's roles. And, Brian never gets too philosophical, but I appreciate it here because it's appropriate to the conversation and helps the reader to better appreciate the consequences of war. Which, if you're reading this when you're, 9, 10, 11 years old, unless you watch the news frequently with your parents, you might have seen stuff in the history books, but you're not really going to be, thinking about what is it like to be on a battlefield? What are the consequences of, firing that gun, or in ancient battles, stabbing somebody with a spear or sword? How does that make me feel? And it's like, just that anticipation of waiting around where, a lot of the ancient battles where you'd have two sides lining up just waiting to charge at each other. 98% of your time is going to be the build up to the battle, and then 2% of that is going to be the actual battle itself. You have a lot of time to think about death and mortality, and it is not a pleasant thing.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just thinking like Tam he's relatively young, but it seemed like he has a lot more experience than even some of these younger hairs do. And I think that's probably because he doesn't really have any family. He grew up super fast, and so he had to learn these things. Like he had to learn these things or die, pretty much.
Basically, he grew up in the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying it kind of reminded me a lot of The Long Patrol, where we saw a lot of that in that book, where we saw like the horrors of war when when the battle when that huge battle at the end of the Long Patrol ended, we didn't get the yippee we won moment that we get in a lot of the other books. We got the we won, but oh my god.
Yeah, what was the cost of our victory?
Mm-hmm. Then chapter 21, I got confused when I saw the picture for this one. I totally thought Euphis was stealing Martin's sword.
Oh,
That's where I thought it was going to go too, honestly.
Okay, because it looks like the artwork that they normally use for Martin's sword, right?
Yeah, and again, referring to what I said, if we're talking a claymore, even for a squirrel, should be a lot bigger than that.
Yeah. And
Because a vole should be smaller than a squirrel.
Yeah. And they keep describing the claymores to have basket hilts, and this one is clearly the cross-tree hilt that Martin's sword has. In a lot of the artwork.
I think we need to blame the illustrator on this one.
Yeah. But so I was glad because I don't remember large swaths of this book. Like I'm basically in uncharted territory at this point. And I honestly thought for a moment, I was like, oh god, is part of the plot going to be them trying to track down Euphis and get Martin's sword back?
I honestly thought that's where it was going to go. So.
Yeah. Thankfully, that's not where it went.
Yep.
I'm happy about that. And then also, as a good callback, one of the moles says, "Stand on my tunnel." And we haven't heard that since Dinny back in Mossflower.
Really?
Again,
Has it been that long?
I think so.
Again,
Wow.
add this to the marker for a soft reboot, or at least referencing some of the earliest stuff.
Yeah.
I'll get to what my strongest evidence where I say why this is kind of a soft reboot in a bit, but
Is it in this chapter?
I don't remember. It's the gossip when they show up, but it's how they're described. It's
how
okay. I had a different one that actually happens in this chapter.
Well, bring it up when it happens.
Oh, okay. Where Tam shows off the sword and it says that he hasn't left it leave his side. They give like the full history of it, and they actually mention Luke. Luke is almost never mentioned in any of the other books, and they specifically bring up how the hilt and the handle are from Luke's original sword, but then it was broken, and then they name drop Bor the Fighter as the one who reforged it. And normally we just get, oh, this sword was forged in the fires of Salamandastron from Meteor. Like we get that stuff, but we don't always get the full history of it.
And that was Armel telling Tam about it, I think.
Yeah.
So I kind of liked how it was done instead of Jake's being like, this sword, as Tam found out.
As you know.
Yeah. And I like that too. And it also shows that not only is Armel a really good infirmary sister, unlike almost every other Redwaller we've seen, she actually studies history.
Right.
She paid attention in Abbey school. She didn't just goof around and eat candy chestnuts.
You know what?
That was Brookie.
Oh, yeah.
Just goofing around.
Good on you, Armel. You actually read and retained knowledge of history. I am proud of you.
Anyway, moving on. It's feast time, and oh, here we go. We have hares at a Redwall feast.
Red alert!
As the abbot says,
6 flaxens and red lights turn on in the abbey kitchens. Hares on site. We have hares on site.
They even make a comment in like a couple chapters later. They're like, "We have to harvest more food because the hares are eating so much."
As the abbot says, watching Corporal Wopscott wolfing his way through a mound of salad and swigging pale cider furiously. Indeed, they don't seem to stint themselves at mealtimes. Perilous scoffing, I've heard them call it. I remember in old Friar Fertle's time, he used to say, I'd sooner feed a hare half a day than a full season. Fertile certainly had a point there. And it's like, yeah, he sounds exceedingly wise.
I have to believe, not only for comedy's sake, but for practical reasons, after Tansy hosted, was it Tansy who hosted, or was it Song, who hosted 1,000 Long Patrol hares and Russino?
That was Mira.
Yeah.
Mira, sorry. That the Abbeys just had to have, like, okay, Long Patrol shows up, here's how you'd handle it.
Here's the long patrol rule that they have in the Abbey kitchens.
Execute
Break
hair
in
protocol.
case of
I
long
repeat,
patrol.
execute hair protocol. I repeat, execute hair protocol.
Hence the red alert, because 1,000 hares and a male badger lord come to visit. That had to have been one hell of a winter afterwards.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they eat a lot. And then after they devour half of the Abbey's food supply, we get a good Council of War scene where Ferdinand we continue to see him being a little too gung-ho, but he's also willing to listen when actual strategies are suggested and not strategy of rush them and kill them.
Yes.
That doesn't work. And we get Tam and Crumshaw taking charge, where Crumshaw is the veteran leader, and Tam has just had so much experience just in these situations. Even though he's not as old as Crumshaw or some of the other leaders, like we've said, he's been out there. Like, he grew up with this.
Yeah. And it's like, hey, what's going on here? Tam says, oh, Council of War probably. And it's like, oh yeah, it's the Council of War. He's a perfect balance of experienced and, that status of being the main character. I don't think it would be easy to throw him on the, Marty Stew pile. His backstory and character development aren't about making him, a better character, improving him as a fighter. It's about him helping other characters, his friends and comrades, grow and defending those who can't defend themselves. But I had this thought, it was just like, as I was reading that, there would probably be a less experienced person reading this and being just like, well, that's a little too convenient. It's like, he just happens to know what's going on. And he just is like, yes, I am in control of this situation. Well, he kind of has to be, because he's not here to be the person that is like, I need to grow into being the hero. That was more like a Matthias or a Tamo situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's more, I have experience. My job is to make sure that everybody else gets out of here alive.
He's already got a resume going, so.
Yeah.
Yep. And they also talk to Armel, and she works to help Turgan with his busted wing.
Yep.
That doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah, but she doesn't knock him out first.
She does not.
No.
She just distracts him with candy chestnuts.
Yep. I do love the fact, though, what is it? Is it Doogie or Ferdinand that keeps eating the chestnuts?
Doogie, I think.
Doogie. So he eats the chestnuts, and Armel goes, "Those are for the Dibbins when they're sick." And Turgan's like, "Yeah, stop eating them."
Yeah.
That was cute.
They're
What?
for
I'm a
wounded
Dibbin'
birds, too.
I'm a Dibbin' at heart.
Yeah. Wounded birds who are totally not scared of the infirmary. Why would you even say that? Of course I'm not scared. I am here, aren't I?
And I love the fact that Turgan has started using hair speak.
Yeah.
Casually dropping what's into what he's saying. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah. We then have another little celebration inside before we find out that half of the Hair Forces, along with Tam, Doogie, and Skipper, are going to be going out, and so they have little fun moments. There's some singing, of course, and Tam and Doogie do some sword tricks, but then warn the Dibbins, don't try this at home.
Yes.
Yep.
Have a parent
Boy, I
around.
picked up my butter knife. I'm going to try this at home.
And Ferdinand and Kersey share a look. So, okay. That's a thing that's never mentioned again for the rest of this section of the book. And so, chapter 22.
Oh, before we do, there was
Mhm.
all this really, absolutely tasty sounding food. And I know you mentioned, you had a note on that.
Mhm.
And it's like, in my notes, I just wrote down, was that an earthquake just now? Nope, that was Jeremy's stomach again.
I actually skipped through some of the food descriptions because I was too hungry. And then chapter 22, just a note, This, Matthias, I think you have the same like print of the paperback book that I do, because we had both mentioned some splotches on the previous section. There's a lot of pages in this section of the book that are really messed up. Like page 181 has like ink spots all over it, and the ink is like extra dark for no reason. And then there's later chapters where the words are almost cut off on the end of the page, like the spacing is incorrect.
I don't have that in my particular edition. Maybe yours was from a subsequent printing, or maybe even an earlier printing of the same edition, and they had some problems with it.
Yeah, there's some pages that are like lighter colored than others. Like normally I don't see this in these books, so it's just a little jarring. So, you know, points to the Kindle edition.
Or in my case, also having a genuine first edition hardcover, where it's like that has absolutely no problems whatsoever.
Yep. And then, but chapter 22 kicks off with Gulo becoming the Shredder and literally rips apart the guards that failed to keep the prisoners, including the one that was already dead.
I mean, he's just being thorough.
Yeah.
Just need to make sure they're dead.
Even if you're dead, I will rip you to pieces.
Do you think that this is the type of the first boss that we've encountered that Vermin HR is just like, nope, I'm not even going there. I'm not even going to confront him.
He ate Vermin HR.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Vermin HR has long quit and left.
They looked at Gulo and went, all right, that's it, I'm done. Snapping people's necks and throwing them out windows is one thing, but you're literally eating and shredding apart people. You're ripping apart people that are dead. Like, I'm done with you.
I mean, I draw the line at corpse desecration.
Yeah.
That wasn't below Farrago, though.
No.
He did that, so.
He did, yeah, Farrago did skin his people alive if they betrayed him, so.
And post-mortem.
Yeah. Gulo then makes his declaration and says, he goes, I am Gulo the Savage, son of Drams, who I killed, greatest and fiercest in all the lands of ice beyond the great sea. Yet I am served by fools, knaves, and idlers. And I was like, fools, idlers, and knaves? Oh my god! What's a knave?
Same thing as a fool?
Brings me to another point. Knave is kind of, a general insult. But this book, I mean, some of these books, they are written for kids, and, we're adults nitpicking it. This is well established. But what I did notice is there is more Shakespearean language in this book than there has been in previous ones. I mean, it's nowhere near what the Bard will do, but some of the language in here, and especially the use of the verb anon.
Yeah.
It drew my attention. I'm like, that's normally a Shakespeare thing.
Yeah. And then we find out that Shard is half burned.
I'm okay. Hey, put away those barbecue sauces. I'm not on the menu.
Yep. And Gulo knows it. Like, Gulo even picks on him and glares at him. It's like, and thou, my clever captain, have ye a solution? What is the answer to all of thy lord's woes, eh? And Shard's just like, just shutting up now.
Yeah.
Talk.
It looks like Shard is a shard of what he used to be.
I think Shard just sharded himself.
Oh, boo!
And then Gulo is like, one more mistake, and I'll build me a fire to finish off roasting thee properly. And he's just like, yes, oh mighty one.
I'm just gonna slap that burned section. Hey, why are you screaming in anguish?
Yeah. Ouch. And so then Gulo's like, all right, enough. We're just going to march at Red Wall. I'm going to rip the doors open, and I'm just going to start devouring everything in my path. Okay? Does that sound like a good enough plan to all of you?
And there in the afterlife, there's Clooney and, I don't know, Bad Red. And and you can hear bad. I really like this guy. And Chloe looks over him and he's like, "Say that again."
I said, Clooney's like, yeah, good luck with that.
Pretty much.
God, like Clooney, Grey Patch, half the Marl Fox clan. They're all like, yeah, good luck with attacking Redwall. See how that works out for you. We'll see you. We'll be talking to you directly in a minute.
I'll get the popcorn.
Yeah.
And there's Mama Marfox. Lantern, get in here.
Why didn't you die in battle with your brothers and sisters?
I need to be surrounded by beautiful things.
I'm surrounded by the Dark Forest gates. They're not beautiful enough.
And Papa Marfox is like, "All right, kids, go out the back. Quick, quick, quick."
He's like, darn it. Marl Fox is like, ever since I died, I've been dreading this day for her to join me.
All right, yeah, enough distraction.
Yeah, so they decide to march off, and well, with Shard, it's more like he's like stumbling off, being like, ow, 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 ow.
I almost feel sorry for him, except that he's an evil flesh-eating monster. So no, never mind.
It's amazing how much content we've managed to get out of a page and a half worth of text.
Yeah.
That's our specialty.
No, I mean, I know that, but
Yeah.
just pointing it out.
Yeah. And so then we go to our heroes who are on the march, and Skipper goes, hang on a second. I smells me a water vole. Look what I caught!
Oh, hi guys. You might want your claymore back, right?
Yeah, he's literally like, top of the morning to you, Mr. McBattle, sir. And a grand old day it is, to be sure. Wasn't I just coming back to the Abbey to report to your good self now? Please don't kill me.
Youth is gonna youth.
And then youth is gonna youth.
Yes.
I do like, though, Ferdinand gets a good moment where he calls him a flippin' fibber. I like that.
Yeah.
And Euphis thinks he's charming and starts embellishing, and Skipper's like, just get to the point. Shut up. And so Euphis explains, like, oh, I observed that Gulo and his forces are going to head to Redwall and try to eat everybody. And they're like, yeah, we knew that. When did they do this? Like 5 minutes ago? Darn it, we didn't know that part. And so poor Shardy Poo is limping along through the woodlands, and he's like, ow, ow, burning, ow, ow. And they say, don't worry, there'll be water up ahead. You can rest, everything will be fine. Oh, look, there's an arrow in your chest.
Yeah.
I knew I should have put in for workman's comp.
Yeah. My only regret is that I worked for Gulo.
Yes. R.I.P. Shard. You won't be missed.
No. Well,
Nope.
he definitely wasn't missed by the person who landed the javelin in him.
True.
And then Gulo, seeing that there's an attack, picks up Shard's corpse and another dead fox and uses them as vermin shields.
And Sarmina in the afterlife's like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Sarmina did it. And so, yeah, I was just like, Gulo loves Operation Vermin Shield.
Yes.
And so, yeah, Gulo, after seeing attacks and thinking that Asgore is out there, because Euphis and Skipper decided to pull the Muppet Man trick, he's like, all right, here's my new plan. You, Zurich, you take half my forces and attack and kill Redwall. I'm going to take the other half and we'll attack and kill Asgore and whoever else there is with him, even though it makes no sense for my brother to have allies here. But I'm going to ignore that because I'm evil and hungry.
Yes. And it's like, doesn't realize that that's actually not Asgore, but, really 3 squirrels in a trench coat.
I said Muppet Man. And then, what the heck is Omadorm? What does that mean?
It's like a word for ignoramus.
Okay. Also, this is a long chapter.
It's
Yes.
very long.
This is like, I think this chapter was like 16 pages. And so they all run for their life. They all run to actually get Gulo to follow them. And Euphis suggests that they go and meet up with the Gaussum. And this means they can get plenty of red shirts to help them out.
Yep.
And this is why this goes into my evidence that this is kind of a soft reboot of the franchise. Brian has spent considerable time kind of reestablishing core concepts, and what do you know? Here's the Gaussum. And he even goes out of his way to describe what they're wearing, which goes straight back to the original Redwall book.
This is true.
Including that they're all carrying short rapiers and have a brightly colored bandana tied around their brows.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they are exceedingly prolific because the Logalog Togi, their respective Logalog, we're told he has 42 grandchildren.
Yep.
That's a lot of Christmas presents.
It's time for shrews. We need more shrews. And
Red shrews?
apparently, or rather grandparently, so does Logalog Togi.
Hold on to that thought because it gets worse when they explain a different family of shrews.
Yep. This is also the part where, in my copy of the book, the way they put the words on the page, everything's like almost cut off at the very end of the page.
Oops.
So I'm pretty sure I bought this like right away when the book came out in paperback. So maybe it was like the first run just had some problems or something. Thanks, Ace Fantasy. And so yeah, they hang out with the shrews and go on a little pleasure cruise and eat and they do a little lullaby for the shrews, and then we get our like Animal House moment where they're like, Euphis is asleep, let's goof on him.
Goofus on you.
We missed the best part though.
Hmm.
The plan where Euphis leads a couple of the core cast, and it's just like, here, watch this. He sneaks off. We see a couple of vermin come on,
Oh yeah.
and it's like, hey, over here! Ooh, you smell bad! As he keeps slinging stones at them. They charge in, and well, they have an Artax moment.
Oh my god. Oh, and given our age range of the people who listen to this podcast, I imagine a good chunk of people are going to get that reference. For those of you who are youngins, go look up an 80s movie called The Neverending Story, and then cry your eyes out at that scene.
I was thinking also the scene in Long Patrol where that one, where like most of the rapscallion forces or like thugs fall in there, and that one guy that stole Roos's stick like literally hops over their heads to get away as they all sink into the mud.
Mm-hmm.
And insert the Sonic drowning music here. Yes.
God, that sound like haunts my nightmares sometimes. God.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the most anxiety-inducing sounds from video games, period.
Agreed. Oof. Chapter 23, we then get artwork of poor Turgan with this gigantic like cross tree splint across his wing.
And he's very cranky.
He's very cranky. And he's like bored and like wandering around all over the place and like scaring the kids, pissing people off. And then Crumshaw comes up with a great idea and he's like, look, you have good eyesight that we can rely on, even though you can't fly. Go up on the walls and you can keep an eye out for the vermin. And he goes, on my way, Brigadier What?
Brigadier What indeed.
Brigadier What is my favorite thing in this book.
And then he like
And then
talks to his father
Crumshaw
out
is
of
like, Brigadier What? Where did he come up with that? I don't understand how he would have possibly come up with that name for me. What? And then everyone else starts laughing. They're like, nope, no idea. They're not sure how he came up with that.
Self-reflective, the Brigadier is not.
it.
No.
And I have to admit, this is actually really intelligent of the Rebellers putting the bird of prey with, really good eyesight on sentry duty. Because one thing that's not mentioned here, although it shortly will be addressed, is Gulo's primary force, with the exception of Gulo himself, are white furred. And it is summer. And I'm just sitting here thinking, like, this book could have been so much more suspenseful and interesting had it actually taken place during winter. But
Yeah, I commented here because they're like, all right, we're going to send 2 of the foxes to scout things out at night. And I was like, yeah, I'm sure the white-furred foxes will have such wonderful natural camouflage at night.
I mean, it's not like these guys are moral foxes with natural camo.
And cloaks and everything. Like, I'm sure they're good trackers and things like that. And they do come from, like, a snowy, icy area. So, like, that makes sense for where they come from. But, yeah, they kind of stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, not only do they have a penalty to stealth, they also nat 1 to all their stealth checks.
Yeah. And as Turgan is going to shortly point out, he's just like, these what? Hey, can you see the vermin? Yeah, they're bright white.
Yep. And Turgan does his job. Like, he makes sure he looks around and spots the 2 foxes, and then immediately alerts 2 guards so he can go and let Brigadier Crumshaw know what's happening. Turgan takes his job very seriously, and I like that.
Yeah, he does.
And he's very respectful of Crumshaw. Like, instead of being like the typical wild bird of like, no, I'm just gonna kill him now. He's like, I've been entrusted with this task, and I will follow through.
Unlike the bird from Bellmaker that was just like, what was his name?
Gobbleblock or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, kill everything.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, Turgut wants to kill everything, can't kill everything, so he's going to make the best of a bad situation and help the ones who can kill all the vermin and sit back and enjoy the wonderful show that the Hares are going to put on.
Yep. And so he lets them know what's going on. And I really like a lot of the bits with Abbot Humble where they work to make sure everyone stays inside, and he's constantly distracted by the situation outside because he trusts the Long Patrol, but it's his abbey and he cares about its safety, and he cares about the safety of everyone living there. And throughout this section of the book, he'll have his moments of like, stay inside, like, what's going on, like, unaware of what's going on outside is terrifying him because he's not a warrior. He's not able to command and see what's happening with the war or warlike moments. And so he's left like scared for the safety of his abbey.
Mm-hmm.
And
other thing to note is that now is Shard's mate, Frida. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Okay. Frida, she's not going to be. She's a little upset, and she just needs a good cup of vengeance against Gulo because he basically got her husband killed.
Yep.
But she is charged with Captain Zurich, like, hey, see what you can do about the Abbey. Don't attack them directly yet, but see if you can get in like through the back door. Yep. And they're like, okay, well, we can't. Ermine aren't the best here. Let's send 2 foxes. You and you, trying to get into the Abbey. I'm sure you guys will be fine.
Yep.
You'll be fine. You're not fine.
Well, yeah, we're gonna get onto that when those 2 foxes act. So.
Yep. And so, yeah, they do go out there. They are spotted by Turgan, and so Grumshaw's like, all right, guys, you know what to do. And Fortendum, Captain Fortendum, who's awesome, because
Uh-huh.
he's our new saber hair, and the saber hairs are always awesome. And he sees one of the foxes and goes, "All right, you guys stay inside. Watch this." He sneaks out.
I got so happy at this scene because I'm like, oh, this is gonna be like Saber Tennis, and I can get put on Pirates of the Caribbean and imagine this grandiose fight, and it's over.
Dead. And the fox even says like, "Ha! I'll kill you like we killed the others." And he just one slash takes him out and gets in the jab. Like, yeah, you're so brave to take out 8 hairs when you numbered over 100.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like one of those scenes from a TV show where all you see is the flash, and you might see, it's like black screen, and you see the curve of the blade, the path that it took, and then when it comes back, you see the character just put their sword back in the sheath, and oh no, bad guy go boom.
Yep.
You are already dead, and he says it with bad lip sync.
Yep. And then for the actual fight, so they trap the other fox inside the abbey because he tries breaking in, and they surround him, and one will just goes, "Let's go," and just beats this fox senseless.
It's so satisfying.
So good.
It's like Little Mac taking on Glass Joe.
Oh my god, just clock pump done. And one will's even like, "Man, that was quick." And they then go back inside and say like, "Yep, we took care of things. Don't worry, everything's going to be okay." And we get an adorable moment where one of the Dibbins like talks to One Will, and Sister Screeve interprets what the Dibbin is saying.
Mhm.
And we then get to see that even though One Will is a total, he's tough, he's a great warrior, he's also very gentle and sings for the Dibbins.
And it's a great song, too.
Yep.
I love this song. It's a tongue twister song. It's got a funny story, alliteration, and enough rhyming to satisfy any poet. It's perfect.
And a fun tune too.
Oh, yes.
Yep. And then we find out what they did. What they did with the 2 foxes that tried to break in, where they tied the dead one to the living one and made him walk back to his camp.
Guys, a little help.
And I love it too. Like, they totally broke his will. Fargle is his name, or Fraggle Rock the second. They mentioned like, "And just a bunch of rabbits did this to you." He goes, "They're called hares, not rabbits." I'm pretty sure the Log Patrol made sure he mentioned that.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. It was like he probably called them hares flippantly, and it's like, or called them rabbits, and it's just like, you aren't gonna get anything from me, rabbits. We're hares, and if you say rabbit again, I will shove this saber down your ears.
Oh god. And so Fargle's like all broken too. He's like, "They beat me and then they made me remember things." And Zareg is like, "All right, you're useless," and he just kills him. And Frida is standing there, and he looks to Frida like, "What should we do next?" She goes, "Well, I would have actually asked him things and tried to get more information, but you just decided to kill him. You and
I'm
Gulo
not dead.
yeah, you and Gulo deserve each other."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so Frida's like, "Look, we can take it over. It's easy. The only thing in our, and Zarek's like, "Well, if we take it over, Gulo will kill us." And she's like, "No, he can't. If we break in and take over the Abbey, Gulo can't get in. That's the end of that." And so Zarek's like, "That's a
Go
good
on.
point." Okay.
Yeah, see, and this is also the case with Frida. I would like her if she wasn't an evil, bloodthirsty cannibal.
Silvermord is in the afterlife poking Ergen like, "See, he listens to her. See, shut up."
And Fortuna's sitting bitterly in a corner. If only that mask guy hadn't turned out to secretly be an otter.
And then Sila's off in another corner. Don't even get me started.
And
Mom?
then finally there's King Marl Fox. Never trust a vixen. Never trust a vixen. Never trust a vixen.
Can't sleep. Clown will eat me. Can't sleep. Gula will eat me.
Pretty much.
So then Zarek and Frida come up with a plan and go up to Redwall and chat and like kind of put out a challenge. But before they're allowed to even do anything, Crumshaw says, "Hey, you, throw your weapon down and then I'll let you speak. Otherwise, beat it."
Hey,
Wait,
uh,
wait, wait.
Zarek
Hey,
is
wait a
just-
second. Wait a
They're
second, guys. What is that white flag made? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a flag of truce. It's more of a corpse of truce.
Yeah, I just realized it's made from Fargle's dead body. Ew. And so they challenge the Hares to fight off in the field or whatever. And I gotta say, they missed their spot check here because do the Hares really think the villains are going to hold up their end of the bargain? Come on, I smell a rat here. Well, not an actual.
Hey.
They're all
You
foxes,
smell an ermine
but
or a fox.
yeah, I smell an ermine. And then they're like, all right, we're going to go out to this place and they'll totally meet us there. Why are they holding their fingers crossed behind their backs? That's probably not important. So, yep, they're off to war. They're off to fight these guys that are totally going to hold up their end of the bargain.
Yes.
Then chapter 25 kicks off with the Jakes gave up. We get one shrew and two shrew.
Yep.
And there is rationale behind this, but it's dumb, especially when you could have literally was explained, it could have been done so much better. Where basically one shrew and two shrew literally explained that their dad didn't really want to think up names and just gave them numbers based on their birth order. And now there's 26 in the family. And you know what would have been an interesting literary device? You have 26 letters in the alphabet. Name one for each.
I like that. Could have also gone with like that scene of The Simpsons where Cletus is like, Marlene, Doug, Doug 2, Charlene, Darlene, and they're all just like names that are really similar.
See, it didn't bother me. I think this was Jake's idea of a joke. Just like
I mean, it is funny in its own right. Don't give me wrong.
Yeah, but it's like if they were like one-off characters for like a page, fine. But like there's more of them throughout this section. Like they keep popping up.
I think he probably specifically wanted to do letters, but the publisher probably stopped him and is like, that's not going to translate in other languages where they have different alphabets than we do.
That's
I mean,
true.
there's something to be said for that.
hmm
That's true.
So at least with number systems, there's some consistency.
That's Bob. That's Bob. That's Junior. That's
Yeah,
Floater. That's Sinker.
in the Chex Quest HD game, in the credits, it's like you got the character, the Chex Warrior, talking about his kids. Fred Jr., Fredalina, other Fred Jr.
Yeah, and so yep, they then decide like, okay, we've got an idea about what to do with Gulo, and we go back to Gulo, and one of his sentries comes stumbling back in like, Esther, I've got it. I got news. And so then Gulo grabs him by the neck, starts shaking him, and goes, "Tell me what I want to know. Stop gurgling. I'm not squeezing your neck that hard, you wuss." Yeah, he literally responds back with, and it said, realizing that he was throttling the ermine, Gulo let go.
I mean, that's literally the chapter art for 25, where he just
Yeah.
Gulo's got just one fist around this poor
No,
soldier's
he's
neck.
got both. He's got both.
And he's terrified. Like this poor ermine. He's like, oh my god, I'm staring into the face of death.
Why did I sign up? Go see the world, they said. Eat exotic creatures, they said.
And so they find out, like, oh, it was Asgore, totally Asgore, and not Otter and Watervole in a cloak. So if my math is correct, Otter plus Watervole equals Wolverine.
There you go.
Now,
Cool.
can you express that algebraically?
If X equals Wolverine and I can't, I'm too tired.
An attempt was made.
I
That's hard.
attempted. O plus W equals
Ow.
WO.
O plus W equals ow, my brain. Math hard.
I like that.
Oh, before I forget, before we go too much further, on the topic of one shrew and two shrew, keen-eared listeners may recall KD made a reference to one shrew and two shrew in a previous episode. You can get imaginary candy chestnuts from us if you tell us which episode that was. And you would also get an imaginary Abbott's trifle if you can give us a timestamp, too. Your imaginary stomach will thank you for it if you get it right.
Purchase not required. No, any and all dangers threat to you that occur to you because of this contest are not the responsibility of Recorder on the Wall. Recorder on the Wall takes no liability for this offer.
Side effects may
only
include
one
giant
entry
eagles.
per only one entry per listener.
So where were we? Oh yes, Gula was throttling someone.
Yep. So Gulo is then told by poor half strangled Ermine that Asgore, yeah, totally Asgore, because we haven't had like 8 false alarms of him throughout this book. He hit me in the head, and then he ran that way. He ran between those 2 trees. That's one tree. I think I'm seeing double.
Hey, and because no officer is brave enough to say, "Hey, Gulo, no one's actually seen your brother. Are we certain this is really him?"
Do you think in the afterlife Asgore is like cracking up and just like sort of on the Woodlander side, like, you guys are doing great with this. I'm so impressed.
Oh,
he's lying there. He and Gomph are watching this together while eating popcorn.
And I would imagine Daddy Wolverine is just like, oh my God, why did that son have to survive?
This is the one that survived in my family.
Yes. I'm never getting grandkids, am I?
Nope. So they take off, and so the plan is the heroes are going to run through a field of birds and get the birds to attack Gulo and his forces.
A pine forest, specifically filled with crows.
Yep.
And Doogie and Euphis get stuck behind and decide to, instead of trying to catch up, because unfortunately Doogie fractured his foot or something like that, they decide to begin their own spinoff, The Misadventures of Doogie and Euphis, Saturdays on Nickelodeon.
Let me guess, 9
That
a.m.?
seems more of a kids WB, honestly.
It gets really entertaining when, minor spoiler, Euphis's wife joins them. It's so funny.
We then get, as I said earlier, we had like a contrast with something later on where Tam was missing for like 5 minutes and Doogie was flipping out.
Oh, yeah.
Doogie here specifically mentions that his only true friend is Rakkety Tam. Tam does not realize Doogie is missing until like 3 chapters later.
Yep.
And it's just like, oh, well.
Oops.
It's like, where's Doogie and Euphis? It's like, huh? I thought he was with you. Oh, well, I'm sure he's fine. He can take care of himself.
Yeah. So chapter 26 continues with the chase, which, I don't know, I think there's a little bit of copyright infringement here. They're shouting, Gulo, Gulo, kill, kill, kill. I think that was Clooney's catchphrase, like what his forces were chanting.
Yeah,
Gulo.
I think the copyright expired on that one. It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with Katie on this one. But before we went on air, we don't do live.
Before we hit that record button,
our colleagues here asked us to listen to a portion of the audiobook to hear Gulo's his Horde's war chant. And now that I've had a little bit of time to reflect on it, it's really bad folk music. Frankly.
I still say it's like I still say it should be sung by Ozzy Osbourne.
Or Electric Mayhem, as Matthias pointed out.
There we go. Oh yes, Gulo on drums. My drums! Thump, thump, thump. Munch, munch, munch.
But I mean, it's not like this is going to be a professional production where they have like full in-house orchestration. It's literally one guy who's doing the music for everything. So
Right.
I mean,
Between
don't
that-
get me wrong. For an audiobook, it's fine. But the harmony needed work.
yeah, the harmony definitely needed work. But if you take that and set that aside and go just purely on, this is the sort of music that you normally get with the audiobooks, and this is the sort of lyrics that you normally get in Redwall songs. This is like basically if Redwall had metal. It's awesome. Yeah, the execution needed work. I still love it.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
the attempt
and
at Redwall trying to be edgy emo teenager, and it is wonderful.
And I mean, you can't really expect flesh-eating cannibals to harmonize beautifully with each other.
I mean, they
Their
were
mouths
on
are
the
full.
ship for a long time. What were they doing that whole time they were sailing?
I was
Well,
gonna
they
say,
certainly weren't singing the Jolly Captain.
right.
Check out our Angels Command review for understanding that reference. So, yep, Gulo's forces spot our heroes, and they start running, and they start
Stage right.
Yep, and they run into the pine grove and alert the crows, and everybody starts charging, and we get a cool bit with Tam helping a stumbling hare and quickly gives her his dirk so she
Yep.
can fight back.
Because one of the crows like grabbed her by her ear, and she's like, "Ow,
Yep,
no!"
I need
And-
that.
yep. I need that to hear things with. And so they make it through, find out that they lost, it was like
3.
2 or 3 hares, and
They lost 3, and a few more were injured.
yep. And now they're like, wait a minute, where are Doogie and Euphis?
Yeah.
I mean,
Huh.
I'm pretty sure nobody's real broken up about Euphis missing at this point, but you know, Doogie's cool.
And I mean, Tam is actually pretty chilled about these. Like, oh, he's missing? Oh, I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah, they'll be okay. And we then get some good moments with the hares saying like, I slew 10 crows. Like, well, I punched one so hard he slammed into that oak. We were in a pine grove. A pine tree, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
Um,
did you hear about the time I read the whole Redwall series in a single day? Yeah, I opened up all 22 books at the same time, reading them all simultaneously.
I have several questions.
Yep. And so, yeah, did you know that Clooney and Gray Patch were? Wait, I think I got them confused now. And then it was funny, like, I think a chapter or two ago in my notes had mentioned, like, man, there's a lot fewer songs in this section. Boy, was I should not have tempted fate with that.
Yep.
These are
Because-
some of the best songs in the book, though.
Well, we get a page-long song. We then get 3 more in the same chapter.
Yep.
That has to be a new record.
This
At
is
least in the
Jake
same
playing a
chapter.
prank on you from the afterlife. Like,
Yeah.
you thought there wouldn't be any songs?
And I will say, though, I am not surprised in the least that the Hares have a song about different meals throughout the day.
Mhm.
Yes.
And yeah, so they move on, and
For the record, there were 10 songs in this whole section.
I'm oh wow, I meant 4 songs in this chapter.
Mm-hmm.
That has to be a record.
I'm also counting the prologue song to each book. So
Hmm.
I was gonna say Loamhedge might beat it, but I haven't counted per chapter, so.
Yeah,
but
I
mean,
don't.
You can always go back and open my old notes. So
This is true. And so they meet back up with Logalog Togi and his forces, and Togi starts coming up with a plan. And I was like, you know what? The Logalogs are always good. They're always a guarantee with these, but okay, almost always. As I stare at an upcoming book,
Mm-hmm.
Matthias and Katie know exactly which book I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Ooh.
All right. So, yep, we get. This was me reading through. This is my reactions, like notes wise to this. I knew I shouldn't have mentioned the lack of songs. Here's a page-long one. 2 more songs in the same chapter? Turns page. Gulo has a song?
But for what it's worth, I love this song when they get back to the Gaussum camp, just singing about a warrior just laying there on the battlefield, just bemoaning their fate. And then it's like, no, actually, I'm fine. He's just going through all this melodrama, but it's like, oh, I'm so miserable. Oh, this is so bad. Oh. Okay, I'll be okay. I'm looking forward to getting home.
We then get so their whole point of running through the pine trees and everything. The whole point of that was, okay, we need to get Gulo's forces like cut down, and this will distract, this will damage them. This might, end up taking out Gulo and everything. No, we find out that Gulo was delayed in the pine forest, not due to danger, but because he went on a freaking killing spree.
Yep.
They attempted to make him eat crow, and well, he did.
He killed every crow. There was they mentioned at the very end,
Or
there's
enough of them that
there's
they're not
one
gonna...
mother crow left, going when's my husband coming home? And Gulo's like, he's in me now.
Dark.
Did you eat his wallet?
Where's Daddy? He's over there, and a little bit of him's in Gulo's teeth now. I actually misread one of the lines in this chapter and then had to reread it because I knew I read it wrong, which it said the bird was featherless. I thought it said wingless. I was like, did they literally rip the wings off one of the birds before eating it?
I
Might
mean,
as
it
well.
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. So we close out with Gulo's happy song.
Indeed.
This is the one I was referencing that we listened to earlier.
Yeah.
And I just want to read 2 lines.
Sorry,
Hi,
my
doggy.
dog.
Hi, doggy.
Right
Hi,
into the
dog.
microphone. Just
No, we were talking about Doogie, not Doggy.
she just stood up and shook herself with her collar like an inch away from the microphone. Thanks, dog.
It's okay.
I'm here too.
But I mean, what kind of song would you think, listeners, that a bloodthirsty cannibal Wolverine and his army of ermine and foxes, what kind of music do you think that they would have? I mean, I already
Rob
mentioned
Zombie.
it's kind of like Redwall metal, but like the lyrics. Were you expecting blood is what my blade drinks, slaughter what my mind thinks? If you're right, you win.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking Gulo's loves listening to Disturbed and Down with the Sickness and everything.
I was
He's
thinking Rob
secretly
Zombie.
emo that never grew up.
Huh?
He's secretly an emo teen who never grew up.
I just think it's Gulo, what's your favorite song? The one where they go,
What?
It's got all the electric guitar and nothing but people screaming in vowels.
Yeah, just the.
I haven't heard the original of that song you were referencing, Jeremy, but I have heard it in a Weird Al polka. Anyway.
Would you believe that there are more than a few songs out there when I hear the original, I immediately think of the Weird Al version?
Oh, I have
Me
plenty of
too.
those. Yeah.
Yep.
Especially Gangster's Paradise, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
no, that's not the lyrics.
Do you know how long it took me to be able to listen to American Pie again without thinking of the Side of Things? So.
That was a work of genius, though.
Oh yes, I absolutely
loved that so much. Anyway.
Oh, there's nothing against the parodies or anything, but it's oh my god, there were so many times where I'd be listening to American Pie and try to sing along and be like, wait a minute, I'm singing the Weird Al lyrics. So chapter 27 kicks off with totally not suspicious fires going on in the West Flatlands.
It's a trap!
And so for some reason, none of the you know what? I'm willing to pass off Tam's I'm too honorable to kill Shard in his sleep, and Shard got what was coming to him anyway. I'm way less forgiving with this part where we have all these very experienced leadership from the Hares not realizing that this is totally a diversion and trap.
Yeah.
Especially Crumshaw. Like, he's the smartest of the group here, and even he doesn't realize it.
Well, he didn't go with them because he was injured, right? Am I
Well,
not?
he doesn't go with them, but he like doesn't even say, "Let's not go and try to attack there and see what happens."
Oh, I see. Because yeah, there's a moment where Crumshaw's like, "Of course I'm coming with you," and Wanwell's like, "Okay, just look over there for a second."
Does this look like a paw to you, huh?
For what it's worth, they were going on Turgon's report, and Turgon might not be particularly bright when it comes to, yeah, this is a trap.
Well, it's also the fact that Zerrig and his forces are like, we'll meet you out there to do battle. Like, I feel like that part is we shouldn't take these guys at their word. Like, the one time this worked out for the heroes was back in the Long Patrol, and that was because Damug was so superstitious he thought it was bad luck to attack Redwall directly.
Well, I mean, it is bad luck to be superstitious.
Ah.
I get it.
So, yep. So the Hares decide to march off, including Burlop, the cellar keeper, who, okay, I will say this: he is very brave because he wants to do what it takes to protect his home, even though he knows nothing of battle. And we quickly find out he really knows nothing about battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Poor
this
Burlap.
reminded me of Brome. I had Brome flashbacks to this guy.
Yep.
So I'm the cellar keeper, and I've got access to all this very flammable liquid. Hey, you guys want me to bring Molotov cocktails? Oh, no.
As they throw flaming bottles of October Ale, just Ambrose Spike is watching this going, no!
Yeah, Burlap is secretly a pyromaniac.
It's like, there's fires over there. I can make them bigger. Just everything. It's like, Burlap, why are the West Flatlands on fire? No reason.
They could be more on fire.
So,
I'll put this fire with the rest of the fire over here.
Yeah. And we get another good moment with Abbot Humble where he is really caring and just like hopes that Burlap will come back okay because he sees him as like his, as like his own son, and he wants his Abbey and creatures to be safe. Like, he's very protective, and that's always good to see with a good abbot or abbess, because we've had some meh ones in the past, or ones that are abbot or abbess for like 2 seconds before the end of the book, or like the abbess in Salamandastron that literally, I can't even remember what her name is. She barely did anything outside
Vale.
of Vale was like, I don't feel like disciplining Sam Kim. Here, you're a squirrel, you do it. So, yep. So I really like Abbot Humble.
Me too.
He's also super introspective about things that you wouldn't expect an abbot to be introspective on. It's like, in the past, we've had abbots and abbesses that are like, I know nothing of war. You people who know more about it, you go, just do your thing. Here we got Abbot Humble reflecting on the nature of battle and basically being just as philosophical as was earlier in the book, being just like, of course this is war. Of course this is dangerous. Of course this is slaughter. What else did you think it was?
Right.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be one of my favorite abbots or abbesses from the series. I really like him. We then get the actual battle, and we get it, ignoring the fact that this is totally a trap and they don't see it coming. We do get like the expertise and ability of the Long Patrol, where we get a return of the longbows, like that they used back in Mariel of Redwall, and Fortindum gets this just awesome moment where he knows the attack distance of his enemy's bows, stands out there and just kind of watches as all the arrows fall short of him, and then gives the order to fire back, and their arrows do hit the enemy.
Battle of Agincourt. Agincourt.
Huh?
Historical English battle against the French when the English were outnumbered considerably, were weak and sick from weeks on the campaign, and the French had new, fresh troops. English used their version of a longbow, which had greater range than the French bows, and decimated the French army.
A whale.
And oh look, the ones around the fire were decoys. Who would have guessed? Oh right, I did. The two ermine that weren't look over and go, "Oh my god!"
And then there's also a "Fooled you!"
Yeah.
So, Fortundum just wipes one out without even trying and realizes what's going on. Meanwhile, Burlap just annihilates the other one with a giant mallet or the axe, one of the two that he carried with him. And then it completely hits him like a rock that I just killed someone. And this is like, it's like you said, mentioned, he's kind of like Brome or like Tammo is a little bit in the Long Patrol, where we get these characters that are a stark contrast to the heroes, where some of our heroes are fine with killing and even mention that they've become kind of numb to it. It showed, like, scenes like this show that even though these villains are literal flesh-eating monsters, they're still living creatures, and it's not easy for someone who grew up at Redwall, grew up with peace, to fight and kill them.
Mm-hmm. It's like there's an amount of innocence that comes with not having been in a fight, not having that mental state of knowing what to do to end somebody else's existence. And I mean, that can be said for a lot of things. And I mean, that's part of growing up is, having to start thinking about things like bills and taxes and, just something you have to do. But in this case, ending somebody else's existence is not something you naturally want to gravitate towards.
Right.
And I think this is Brian illustrating that, the Long Patrol are doing what they do because it's necessary. If you aren't one of them, don't do it.
Yeah, I also love that he's like a big, strong creature. He's not like a typical what you would think as a weak character. But just because you're big and strong doesn't mean that you have the heart to do this to someone.
Yeah, big, strong people doesn't equal bully. Doesn't equal somebody who wants to throw their strength around.
It's kind of like Solartree back in Marl Fox, where he scared off those bullies, but then immediately felt horrible about it.
Or Sunflash whenever he comes out of the Blood Wrath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is he the only Badger that we've seen who is like afraid and regrets his Blood Wrath so far anyway? I think he might be.
I think so.
Because Craig is just like, whatever. And Ron Blade's like, I'm just going to take a nap.
Yeah. Craiga looked back at it as that's what gave me my strength. Like, she doesn't really regret it. Even she kind of accepts that that's kind of what resulted in her wounds, and it's kind of gone away from her. Boar, we never really got to know long enough, but it seemed like he didn't really regret it. He was among the I hate sea rats.
Right.
I would argue Brocktree was, while he certainly had it, was better at keeping things tactical than just relying on roar, smash.
Agreed. Yeah, there were almost no moments where Brocktree lost control.
Yeah.
It's only at the end where it's just like, hog!
Actually, you know what? Earthwhite. He was very gentle for such a huge, giant beast of a character. Like, after when he bunched up and acted as the monster and everything, and Mara and Pickle and then start yelling at him, and he's like, I don't want to fight, they make me. He was a very gentle soul.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if I think that he really understood the concept of blood wrath and what it was. He just knew that he didn't like it when he got super mad and it made him sad. But I think Sunflash really went into like, I know this about me and I hate it and I hate that it happens and it makes me sad. I don't know.
I would
Yeah.
put it as Earthwhite is like the anti-Hulk, where it's just like I don't like that side of me. I know it's there. I know I can use it. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, and then we look at just like another aspect of that. If we look at Lana Bowstripe, is just the case of, hey, I'm really mad now. What just happened?
Yeah.
He kind of loses control of himself. I mean, there's like some intelligence, like a direction of kill this specific person, but it stops being a I know what I'm doing, I'm using and channeling this. It's just I'm losing control.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas like Earthstripe, he had temper problems to begin with. And when he got the blood wrath, he just got even worse. Like that's when he really started getting reckless. Like
and then
where
there
near
was
the
Rasan.
end.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say near the end is like throughout the book he gets angry very easily. It's like building up with him, and then near the end of the book when he finally just says, when his two hairs are gone, where he thinks his two most loyal hairs are gone, that's when he finally just snaps and lets it take over and goes, I don't care if this is the stupid thing to do. I'm going to kill everything that gets in my way.
And then finally, one last example. We see Rusano the Wise, who has absolutely no blood wrath whatsoever because he doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I'm sure Craig is proud of. I'm sure that makes her proud.
Yep.
She probably explicitly told him, never do this.
Right.
Don't learn from my example. Don't do it.
Learn from my example. So I shouldn't throw my weapon away and try to strangle an enemy that's wielding a sword? Yes. Exactly. So then back to the Abbey, we get Frita and her small crew break in.
Oh no,
I
don't like this part.
We get one of the most horrible lines just like from a villain where one of the foxes says like describes the Abbey as a giant meat store.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
That made me shudder. Like, these villains are like the easiest to hate because they're just so awful.
Mm-hmm.
Like Unyat Trun, some of the others, like they're terrible. Saramina was a horrible tyrant. Badrang was like a monster. At least they didn't devour their enemies and refer to them basically as like livestock.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's not pleasant.
yeah.
Which makes it all the better when the Redwallers are like, oh, we've been invaded. And you see Armel and Brookie charge off to go and defend the Abbey. It's like, they're the new Constance and Cornflower.
Which I like a good moment or we get some good stuff here. For one, Mudge, the little mole babe, spots the foxes. So good on him.
Yeah.
And Humble, at first, like, there's nothing out there. And as soon as he sees them, he's very good at, he just shuts the window, gets everyone to stay, he stays calm, says what's going on, and goes, we need to do something about this right now. Nobody look outside. Keep the children calm. Like, he's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm sure inside he's terrified, but he's just like, you know
Yeah.
what? I'm an abbot. I've got to do this.
Yep. And Brookie gets her good moment where first she has her ill-timed laughter moment, which but she immediately realizes she did the wrong thing and makes up for it by going, this is what we're going to do for the defenses. Like she immediately gets to work and shows that, yeah, she's immature at times, but she also understands the gravity of the situation.
Yeah. And I think some people make jokes when they're scared, like uncomfortable. Like my sister's like that. She went through a haunted house once and she's terrified of clowns. And so when she saw a clown, she just started laughing at it, like, look at that clown, and like pointing at it and laughing at it. And then afterwards she found out it was like someone who worked for my dad who knew her really well, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I just spent the whole thing laughing at you."
That's like it's a natural defense, right? Like I'll
Yeah.
admit I do that a lot, where it's just like sometimes you need to just be able to laugh at the situation.
Yes, even if it is
Um,
quite inappropriate to do so.
That
Yep.
was better than me in a haunted house years ago. It was one of my college jobs, and my coworkers and I went, and they decided, "Oh, we're going to a haunted house," and it was pretty tame when at that, and they made me the point man. I was outvoted, and we were walking by what looked like a doll, a human-sized doll in the cage, which wasn't. It's this woman who's paid to rattle the bars and scare us.
Mhm.
The second she started rattling the bars, I was so hopped up, I immediately dropped right into a fighting crouch. Like if she had made it another foot towards me, I would have probably done something that would have gotten me thrown in jail. So,
So, the fox, like Frida's like, okay, try to get up on that windowsill and break in. Well, Brookie decides to basically somebody needed an action hero line here, because the fox sees Armel and she distracts him, and he makes like the biting motion. She's like, "You want to eat me?" And he's like, "Yeah." Brookie should have then gone, "Eat this," and then stabbed him in the mouth.
Yes, that was fantastic.
We needed an action like movie one-liner right here. But that being said, Brookie stabs this dude in the mouth, and he falls on the ground clutching his mouth. They're like, "What happened?"
Yeah, try to eat somebody now.
Yep. And so then his buddy who was holding him up, they're like, "What did you see?" He goes, "I was holding..." It's literally that.
To go into just a tiny bit more detail, Armel's up at the window, just like trying to communicate with this guy and try to stall him. Brookie is just creeping along the window out of view, takes this window pole, literally shoves it through the window, shatters the window, and just punches it with the end of this window pole right into his mouth, instantly removing all of his teeth.
Yep. I don't feel bad at all. Sometimes with these villains in some of these books, I kind of feel like the Ka-chunk guy, I really felt bad for him a little bit. But this one, I'm just like, nope, I don't care. You're a cannibal.
Yep. This guy's more like, "Kablah!"
Yeah.
No. He's no longer a cannibal. He's a cantable.
And so, but yeah, the guy was holding him up. They drop one of the windows on his head. That's where he gets the duh moment. And they all look up and go, "What the heck?" So Brookie and Armel are like poking at them with the window hooks. Then we get an awesome but also sad moment. Crumshaw.
Well, Frida first is like, shoot arrows through the open window, and you know that something bad's gonna happen if nothing stops them. And then there's Crumshaw.
Yep. Crumshaw, who was knocked out by One Will, and they just put him in the gatehouse, unbeknownst to the villains, walks out, sees what's happening, and immediately charges them, only armed with his like stick, like his cane.
Yeah.
His swagger stick.
His swagger stick, takes 2 arrows in the chest, keeps running, grabs Frida, and even though she slices him across his entire face, grabs her sword with his paw and kills her with it as he goes out.
Yeah, this one always, every time, especially when that little hair girl finds him later. The voice actor who does that, it just destroys me every time.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
And he goes out like a true hero, though.
Yeah.
Wow. And so and they don't catch it for a while. Like they don't realize what happened to him for a while.
Yep.
And the next chapter immediately kicks off with the Redwallers fighting back to defend their home. And everyone gets like Formel, Bruffy, and Screeve end up like getting a fox to get drowned in the pond. And Screeve's just like, we're gonna have to drag his corpse out of there. Like she's pissed. And and Brookie and Armel like swing a banner like a flag to to get the attention of the rest of the Long Patrol to come charging back. And the Redwallers do a good job here. Everyone gets their good moment. And then One Will and Fontingdom. Is it Fortingdom or Fontingdom? I think I wrote both.
Fortendom.
Fortingdom.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it was misspelled in the book.
Well.
Oh, shoot. I'm now curious if it actually was. But they come charging back and immediately help out and start thinking up a plan and be like, okay, so the villain's plan was to sneak in. All right, we're going to set a trap for them. And Zirig is not happy. Zirig sees that this guy comes back who's super injured, and he's like, you were supposed to be holding the door open with Frida. What the heck happened? He's like, all the Redwallers came charging out. They hurted me.
Mice with broomsticks, they were going to hurt me.
Yeah.
I need an adult.
Yeah. And Zerig's like, you ran away from mice armed with broomsticks. Were there no tall rabbits with javelins and swords there? And he's like, I saw none, Captain. He goes, no hares were there, like those we fought, but this bold creature ran away from mice with broomsticks. Did you fear they were going to sweep you up, Wormbrain? And the rest are just laughing at him like, oh my god, this idiot.
Hey, that's hurtful.
Cutting back to the Long Patrol, now is where we found Flummerty is the one that found Crumshaw's body, and One Will didn't know. And suddenly it's like, why are you crying? And Flummerty tells him, and he's taken aback and he's in shock from it.
Yeah.
And this whole part was heartbreaking. And then One Will sees that, word is getting through that everyone realizes that poor Crumshaw is dead. And he immediately works to get everyone back in the fight and says like, Crumshaw, no, of course he wouldn't have died of old age, like in a bed or something. No, he went out exactly how he would have wanted to. He was a perilous hare, and now we have to fight for him. And then Flunkworthy gets an awesome moment where he goes like, One Will's like, you know what Crumshaw would have done if he saw all of you crying? And Flunkworthy just it does his best Crumshaw imitation and goes, by the left, next when I see Blubbin, I catch Blubbin, I'll put him on a flippin' fizzer. What? Not the done thing, Can't abide any bloomin' beast moping about like a dreaded duck at a drowning. What? and One Will immediately is like, thank you.
Yep.
And they decide, we're going to do this fight. This fight will be for Crumshaw. And Zerig and his forces start sneaking in. Door is then shut. And they realize, and Zerig even realizes it like, oh, we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like, mice with broomsticks, like, where are they? As the last vermin goes through the doorway, Darren Fordingham kicked him back in the back, laying him out flat, slammed the door, shot the bolts, and drew his long saber in one fluid movement. Apologies for the mice. I sent them indoors. Are hares more to your liking, Syrah?
Yep. This is
gonna hurt.
This is like, they've already warned the villains, like, you need to, don't attack us, get out, we'll take you out. I don't know if anyone's ever seen the movie A Bronx Tale. Very, very good movie, but so it's a lot about like there's a lot of organized crime stuff in it. And there's a scene where like all the mafia guys are in their favorite restaurant and these bikers come in, all these badass bikers. And they tell them like, look, you guys need to leave. You're being loud and obnoxious. And they're like, no, we're not going anywhere. The mafia guys then shut the door and the leader says, now you can't leave.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Or as the Kingsman series put it, manners maketh man. And then butt kicking commences.
Oh, and so the rest of the Red Wallers are inside. We don't get to see the battle. We don't see the Long Patrol basically just wholesale slaughtering these guys. Because that's what this was. This was a slaughter.
And Sister Screeve is basically losing her mind, like, it's slaughter! Slaughter! Is almost like, of course it's slaughter, sister. You were out there moments ago doing that very same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's different watching it from a distance.
Yeah. It's also less desperate than what the Red Wallers were quick charging, like, we have to protect our home. This is, we've lured these guys into a trap. We're all trained soldiers and we're taking them out. We're removing these people. And so, but much like in the Long Patrol, we don't get the cheerful victory. We get quickly reminded of Crumshaw's death because instead of like they immediately get that instant, like, they did it. But as soon as the doors are open, they see the Long Patrol carrying Crumshaw's body in. And they say, like, can we place him somewhere so we can give him a proper burial? And Humble has his good moment of saying, put him by Martin's tapestry.
Yep.
That's where he belongs.
Well, Martin needs his appearance fees.
But and they even said they know the Brigadier would have liked that.
Yeah.
And that's how this section of the book ends.
Yep.
I'm sure Gulo is going to take this. Well, no one ever takes anything well.
No. I'm sure Gulo will handle this with the maturity and level-headedness that we've come to expect from him, aka none.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's the end of this section of the book. And this was really good. This book has been fantastic so far.
As I've said before, and I will continue to say, this is why it's my favorite, because there's just so many wonderful little moments that stitch together to make just one awesome book.
Mm-hmm.
All the characters are very well realized. All these little touches of detail that just make the world feel more alive. It's all fantastic.
Yeah, we've had great characters. We've got great character moments for them to grow. Like it's juggling its large cast very well. And we get our bittersweet moment near the end where we have the victory over most of Gulo's forces, but also the loss of Brigadier Crumshaw. And yeah, I don't know why I always forget a lot of the events of this book. Like, I know I've read it a few times. But I'm actually kind of glad I did because I'm getting to like re-experience this stuff, like the events of the book, for what it feels like the first time. And I like that. Like I've remembered a couple little things here and there. Like I think I kind of remembered Crumshaw, but I couldn't remember who it was. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the final part of this book.
I mean, I've never read this one before doing it for this show, and frankly, what most has already been said is true. This is Brian. Not only is I think he's if this isn't a soft reboot, it's as close as it gets to it, and he's distilling some of the best parts of the franchise into a single book. Like you if so far, although we'll see what book 3 comes up with. If I had to recommend an adult outsider to this series, I might recommend them to this one. Before this, I would have said probably Matameo. But we'll see where this goes yet. Gulo's got to be defeated, and we don't have a Badger Mom, or, Molesme is not going to come and save the day here. So.
Yep, I really like the second book. It just, every time Crumshaw, just because it wasn't like a typical officer dies in battle with everyone else type thing. It was because he saw a situation, he knew what he had to do, and he did the right thing, even though it meant like dying all alone, as the hare that found him said. Like, he died all alone. Like, this was not I don't know. I mean, it was like sort of heat of battle because he was fighting one person, but it wasn't like in a big pitched battle. he knew what was going to happen, and he did it because it was the right thing to do. And I mean, this puts him up with like Paragord and all the other officers that are just really good, well drawn out characters, and that even though we've seen similar hairs to it before, like his death still just affects you because it's just so moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, agreed. And like, is not only did he go to fight them, he started shouting and making sure that all the attention was put towards him instead of Redwall.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I would say if I had to pick like top 3 hair moments, this is definitely in the top 3, along with a moment that we're going to get in a book or two. I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think
I'm
that-
sure Katie knows the one I'm talking about.
I think so. And also I was thinking of the Time and Mariel of Redwall when Clary, Time, and Rosie like charged
Mhm.
the rats knowing that they were probably going to die. That's
Yeah,
the
just
other one I can think of.
walking in, just like, I don't care that we aren't being stealthy right now. This is business time.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said, I definitely hold him up there with someone like Paragord, who knew the odds against Damug's forces, knew that they were going into a possible losing scenario, but was still dedicated to it and made sure he did it to help keep Redwall and all the peaceable creatures in it safe.
Yep.
We salute thee, Brigadier Crumshaw.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
can't
Melesme
see
would be
it.
proud.
But I'm
Mhm.
actually saluting.
Aww.
Me too. No. Whew. So that was book 2. As always,
So-
next time.
How
Huh?
much forces does Gulo have left?
Less than 50 at this point. Like, I think maybe 30 or something.
And the
Is-
Hares have lost some, but not that many.
Yeah, because the majority of, because they left with about 100. They probably still have more than twice of what Gulo's forces are at this point.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
So, and Gulo's forces are also just fighting on the we're horribly terrified of our boss, whereas the Long Patrol Hares have just throughout this book are getting more and more reason to take out this guy and his troops.
Yep.
Well,
And I mean,
so-
Melesme did tell them, I don't want any surrender or quarter shown to these guys. Take them all out because they are cannibals.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So we shall have to see how well this holds out.
So, you can find us online at recorderofthewall.com. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, whatever you want to call it. We are also on Spotify. You can find us on the official Redwall forums, on the RULELIA subreddit. We have a Twitter account at ROTWPod. We also have a Gmail account, rotwpod@gmail.com. Feel free to tweet us or email us, with suggestions if you have any ideas for once we're actually done with the books, because we're getting up there.
Mm.
And if you would like to guest host on the show, like obviously the food episodes are very fun to pop in on. Yeah.
Indeed.
And feel free to leave reviews for us as well.
We would appreciate that, certainly. And this is totally not me forgetting that I should probably have looked that up before we started. And totally not doing that right now.
That's a tradition at this point.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
God.
basically a feature of the show.
Yeah. It's called Pete Checks for Reviews while we kill time.
I mean, we're going to have Fanfiction 4 later in the year. Much less, I would suggest another trivia episode, but I'm not writing any of it.
Listeners.
We're still at 16 5-star reviews and 2
Nice.
text reviews.
Awesome. Listeners, that's an idea. You could put together some trivia questions.
Yeah,
Mhm.
do that. I would love that. That'd make me
Yeah.
so incredibly happy.
That'd be some and if you do, when we do our trivia episode, we will give credit to everyone who submits one.
Indeed.
We'll say-
And that's 3 projects we came up with for our listeners in one podcast.
You have a lot of work to do. Your homework is due next Tuesday.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well,
All right then.
Yep.
Folks, we'll see you next time. I'm Pete.
I'm Jeremy.
I'm Matthias.
And I'm Katie.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.